I started to look at my equipment. We're all good, though. It's all right. Jay, I'll be back in a moment. No worries about that. Look, and to Coach's point, just with the SEC, look, the only way I will end up with a piece of Tennessee is if I end up, when we get to the tournament, and there's SEC-related futures, if there's a really good price on the SEC to win the tournament, over number of SEC teams to reach the Sweet 16, over number of SEC wins inside the tournament, stuff like that will then get me tied to the Vols. But I'm not going to touch the Tennessee numbers. I've seen, this was before the South Carolina stuff. I'm good on that. We're coming up against the break, though. Coach James Young going to be back right in the mix here. He's got 5 picks for us on the NBA side of it, as well as some action with the college basketball. And I'm going to just take a look here, but maybe we have some additions come through because some of the injury news that's going to be piling on as the night carries here, get more options in Minnesota and Dallas. And again, potentially, as I try and cross-connect some numbers, some more props since the Paul George absence that has been made clear. We're back with you here in a couple of moments. It's Game Time Decisions.
Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game Time Decisions, only on Sports Grid. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news. Trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game Time Decisions.
You have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
right, let's make it happen. Game time decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. I'm joined by Coach James Young. JY, I want to make sure we get to all these picks here tonight, including this game with Washington and LA. No Paul George. How much does that change things for you?
Washington still sucks, right? I mean, is Wes Unseld and Gilbert Arenas coming back? I think not. I think the Clippers in a bad mood after their last game. I like the Clippers. I know the line has dropped, no PG-13. That does not change my outlook at all. Give me the Clippers minus the points.
All right, I want to ask you, it looks like we are in a head-to-head tonight. You're back in Sacramento, in South Beach. Why?
I know we keep saying the Heat are desperate, the Heat are desperate, the Heat are desperate. And they keep losing, they keep losing, they keep losing. And I just look at this team as I think they're a little bit of a mess right now. I mean, not now, you know, there's I don't even know if there's rumbles, internet rumors about who could be out on their way out, if Jimmy Butler's happy, so on and so forth. I just think this is a spot that I'm just going to trust the fact that I just don't see Miami fixing it right now. Maybe it takes the All-Star break. Maybe it takes more practice time with Scary Terry. I just don't like the way they've looked as of late. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take the points and think Sacramento may actually steal this one on the road.
Here's what I'll say. Maybe you catch this team continuing to slide. You already made some money taking Phoenix. But you look at the 7 games, right? So you're not desperate on the first time you lose. You're not desperate the second time you lose. You may not even be desperate the third time you lose. What's that next game? Well, they're home against Memphis. That was off of a 3-game losing streak. Well, this team's foolish, and they looked past Memphis because, of course, they did. Well, then what's the next game? Well, they went and played Boston. They played Boston. Yeah, I don't care how desperate you are. Boston punched them in the mouth. And I was on Miami +8 in that game, but no rest. In comes Boston. Nightmare. Then they go to the Knicks. Again, you can be desperate all you want. The Knicks are better than them at minimum regular season. Yes, they were absolutely desperate then playing Phoenix, but Phoenix was a little bit too. Suns got embarrassed in that final fourth quarter against the Orlando Magic. That was one of the key things for me, JY, is you don't have a desperate Sacramento team. You have a riding high Sac-Town group that's won 3 consecutive road games.
I think, yes, I mean, you make a valid point with Sacramento because, yes, they have won, 3 games in a row on the road, and then you still look at the fact that they have to go back-to-back Indiana, Chicago, and then Cleveland before they go home. So this is a spot where if you're a team like, Sacramento, you got to get a win tonight because this great road trip that started out with a Golden State team you beat by 1, a Memphis team that's awful, then you're going to go ahead. You may lose to Miami, Indiana, Chicago, and Cleveland. So to me, this is a big swing game for them. And if for maturity-wise, they got to step up and win on the road.
Yeah, I think that's understandable. Let's move it here, JY. We've got the Rockets and the Pels doing battle. New Orleans been playing some tough ball. How do you feel about going to H-Town?
The Rockets are a very quirky team because you look at their record and they're kind of slid down the standings. But K-Dub, they're good at home. They're 17-8 at home. And I just look at this spot for them as this is a big spot for them at home to try to get themselves back into this playoff race. I think they're maybe 10th or 11th right now in the Western Conference. This is a big spot for them. I'm only taking this, Kevin, to be honest, because the Rockets are at home. If this game was at New Orleans, I wouldn't be touching it or I'd be going right to New Orleans. Rockets at home. I'm going to go ahead and take them.
Look, they're 17-8 at home, right? They've only had 5 wins outside of Houston. Home road splits are real, JY. Home road splits are real. But a road team you're going to back tonight is the Magic. They go to San Antonio. What advantage do you see here?
Well, here's the thing. And San Antonio has showed itself to be better, right? A little bit more competitive as of late. But here's an Orlando team that has at times looked really good, has slipped up. They did have that win against Phoenix when they obviously came down the stretch and kind of I don't know, I guess you say stole that game. But this is a spot, if you're going to take yourself seriously as a team that's the 8th seed right now, 2.5 out of the 2 games out of the loss column, or 3 games, 2 out of the games of the loss column with Indiana for 6, you got to go on the road and win. Like this, you have to go on the road and win. And that's another team that's really been up and down. If you kind of look at their schedule here, after they play this game, they got to go at Minnesota. That's going to be a loss. At Detroit, they should. I mean, that's a win, right? But then they got to go at Miami. Maybe Miami turns it around by then. It's a big spot for a team in Orlando. They got to get the job done after losing that 131. I'm sorry, they had nothing about it. 131-129 to Dallas. They bounce back. They win in San Antonio tonight. Cover the spread.
Listen, this is a spot for me. I know the Spurs did just lose at home to Washington, but just overall, it feels like there's a bit more competency about this team tonight. But Orlando, we'll see how they handle it. That was a tough loss that they had there against Dallas. Durant goes back to Brooklyn. What do you look for here, Coach?
You know, I was going to jump on Kevin Durant and just feel like he's going to be in a bad mood, but I just don't want to play around with this. The Nets are bad. I mean, as soon as they get a little bit of a glimmer of hope, right? They get Ben Simmons back. They turn around, they win 147-114. The guy's out already. Like he just came back and he's already out of the lineup again. This is a Phoenix spot where it's on national TV. Kevin Durant's going to want to shut down the noise. I think they get the win and the cover on the road and get themselves set up for the ending of a nice road trip where they have to go to Atlanta and then Washington before turning around and playing home Tuesday versus Milwaukee. It's a chance for them to kind of keep themselves rolling here after losing 2 out of the last 3 on the road. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Phoenix Suns minus the points.
Yeah, I was on KD's points against Miami. He was very passive. He had 7 assists in the game. Then he ended up kind of falling victim. They turned him into Eric Gordon, which was crazy to watch down the backstretch. And Bradley Beal and Devin were doing everything. Spoelstra was still sending doubles to Durant, despite you're down $1 million. I don't know. The Spoelstra defensive stuff wasn't great in that game. I'm just curious to see what Kevin Durant's approach is in this game tonight, JY, knowing that he's going back to the Barclays Center. 4 consecutive games now without 25-plus points. Do Beal and Booker just completely defer to KD? He's going to get booed tonight. He's going to get booed. So if KD wants it, he's a bit due. It could be a huge night for him at the Barclays Center. I'm tempted by his alts.
I would agree with you, and I would say this. I would be looking at Kevin Durant maybe first quarter points. And then just see if he just comes out, Kevin.
Just go early.
You know what I'm saying? Just go early. Like, guns blazing, shut the noise down right away, take the fans out of the building because God knows, maybe I'm a Knicks fan, show my Knicks bias. Net fans, there will be more probably KD fans than Net fans in that game tonight. Let's be honest. Because the Nets just don't draw. So to me, I could see Kevin Durant and them getting him the ball early. Here's what I'll say. I would take over his first quarter props for points. And if he goes off to a slow start because maybe he's nervous, let the points drop and then jump on him in game because at some point he's going to take off and run with this.
If Kevin Durant gets nervous at the Barclays Center tonight, they should trade him. Let's get your college picks, JY. St. John Xavier, what are you looking for?
I'm going to Kevin Walsh's favorite basketball coach. That's Slick Rick the Ruler. I'm taking the St. John's. You know what? I'm going to call him the Redmen. I was going to call him the Redmen. I'm calling him the Redmen. I'm taking the St. John's Redmen plus.
What is that?
1.5.
What is that?
That wasn't me, was it? But it's St. John's plus 1.5 on the road versus Xavier. Listen, this is St. John's.
You just got muted. You're now muted. Now you're back.
Oh, wait. I'm here? I'm not?
No,
I'm here?
apparently you're good.
All right. St. John's plus 1.5, Kevin. I'll go with that. I think it's a St. John's team that's near the top of the Big East. I know Xavier just got rolled at UConn over the weekend. I don't think it matters. They get the win.
What do you like in the Purdue game?
I'm taking Purdue minus the points. I hate Purdue.
Yeah.
No, I can't stay. Like this is it pains me to say this. But Purdue at home, it pains me. I hate them. I hate them. I hate their fans. I hate everything about them. Minus the points. It's at home. They get payback off of Northwestern after losing their Big Ten opener. I'm taking Purdue minus 13.5. This could be because I'm friends with Jamal Meeks, who played at Indiana, and Jamal Meeks hates Purdue more than anybody. So maybe that's why. Shout out, Meeksy. What's up, brother?
All right, stop with the Meeksy. Give me the other two college basketball picks that you got before we get you out of here.
Real quick, I'm going to go with Radford minus 10 at home, and then I'm going to go with Richmond. Now, big win they had over the weekend. They're going on the road at Fordham. It's 2.5. I'm going to just lay the money line. Richmond goes in there and steals it.
All right, there you go. You're Radford and Richmond. Wow. R&R. By the way, what was that noise? Was that noise me? Like, I don't what what happened? No, we'll handle it. We'll handle it off air, JY. It's all good. It's all. Stop doing your on-air producing. All right, you've done enough. R&R. Okay, rest, relax. Richmond, Radford. Take it easy. We're hitting a break here on Sports Grid, though. Coming up next, Braden Cannon's going to be in the mix for us. We're going to go to Pebble Beach, and we'll also talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, the Chiefs, the Niners, some of the early stuff that Brady has his eyes on. It is game time decisions. I don't know why you guys just left Coach up there the whole time to make faces. I got to be honest with you, but it's all good. He loved it. Oh, he loves it. He loves it. We'll be right back here on Sports Grid.
Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news. Trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
in-game live.
Just
prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
In the bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
late
good betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Back with you right here on Sports Grid. I'm Kevin Walsh, now joined by Brady Cannon. Brady, how are you?
I'm good, Kevin. How's it going?
It's going well, man. And if I'm not mistaken, it went well last week, right? Over there at Torrey Pines. I know Finau was in the hunt, and Hogard, I believe, finished second, right?
Yeah, it was kind of a tough beat, my man. I don't know if you were watching the finish, but we had Nikolai Højgaard at 50-1 to win the tournament, and he was sitting on the 72nd hole in 2 with about a 50-foot putt for eagle. And the eventual tournament winner, Matthew Pavon, had hit his tee ball into the bunker right up next to a lip. He had to lay up. He hit it into some really deep rough. And I was, getting ready to almost start counting my money. I was figuring I was at least going to get into a playoff. Out of the 6-foot ankle deep rough, he hits it to 7 feet. And after all that, puts it in for birdie to win the tournament. It was pretty tough, but we did cash 3 top 20 finishes with Højgaard, Finau, and Bo Hostler, and actually 4 top 20 finishes, I believe, with Taylor Pendrith as well.
Yeah, look, it was great stuff, and kind of as you said, the outrights always catch people's attention, but I know there's a lot of different markets that you're involved in. But we'll talk some outrights here with this Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Who's the first guy you're starting with in this outright market?
Well, I think it seems like a pick that's a little bit out of left field because I don't think seen anybody else on him this week, and that is Sam Burns. And I landed on him for a few different reasons. First of all, he's had great success at the correlated courses. And I looked at St. George's in Canada, where they had the Canadian Open there a couple years ago. He finished 4th the year that Justin Rose won that. Also Colonial Country Club, where he won just a couple years ago. And then also Port Royal, where they play the Bermuda Championship, TPC Craig Ranch, where they play the Byron Nelson, where he finished 2nd a couple years ago. So he's done really well on courses that set up similar to Pebble Beach and Spyglass. And then also he's a very good weather player. One of the best players over the course of the last 5 years or so on tour when you have rainy, windy, wet conditions. And that's what we're going to have at Pebble Beach this week. So, and then the other thing is I think he comes in pretty good form, Kevin. He had 3 top 15 finishes in his last 4 starts to end the season last year. And then it was just a couple weeks ago that he had a hard luck finish at the American Express. He was leading that tournament going into the 71st hole and put his tee ball in the water, ended up finishing 6th. So I think some unfinished business there for Sam Burns. I think he'll do well this week. I got him at 45-1. My next shortest shot was Ben On, who's really been on fire. Ben On fire is what he has in 2024. Started out at Kapalua at the Sentry with a 4th place finish and then backed it up at the Sony Open on Oahu with a 2nd place finish, losing in a playoff there to eventual winner Grayson Murray. Kevin, I'm sure you're aware the first 4 weeks of the PGA Tour 2024 season have been won by massive long shots, anywhere from 150 to 500-1 shots. So I did play some longer guys as well, but Ben On and Sam Burns were the shortest shots I took, right around 45-47-1.
No, I'm curious, Brady, when I look at the outright board, obviously Rory, Scotty, Schauffele, right? You've got Hovland, Spieth. With these big names back in the fold, because I know you mentioned, right, these guys, most of them weren't around at Torrey Pines. Does that typically push you to start further down, or is this just kind of how it landed this week?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, there could be a little bit of rust. We haven't seen these guys really since Kapalua, so it's been, almost a month since we've seen Victor Hovland, Jordan Spieth. And then you look at Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, and a couple of the areas that are most important here at Pebble Beach, Kevin, are strokes gained approach, hitting great approach shots, hitting greens in regulation. These are the smallest greens on the PGA Tour, so you're going to miss them. So you have to be very accurate with your irons. And then putting. this Poana surface, the same grass we saw last week at Torrey Pines, it can be very bumpy and frustrating. And especially with the moisture in the air, it could be even more bumpy and soft with guys stepping all over it all day. And putting and approach game are not necessarily the strengths of Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler. Rory really gets it done with the driver when he can overpower a golf course. Both of these golf courses, Pebble Beach and Spyglass, they're right around 7,000 yards. And you've got to hit the ball short, a lot of layup shots. So Rory can't really play to his strength. And then the biggest weakness of Scotty Scheffler's game, he's great on approach, but he hasn't been very good at putting for about a year now, really awful at putting. So, it doesn't, I don't think, set up really well for the two biggest dogs on the board there in Scheffler and McIlroy. I think if there's one shorter shot that I kind of like, and I almost landed on him, and I may regret it, it's Max Homa, the California kid.
Okay.
He's the defending champ at Torrey Pines, did well last week, didn't defend his crown, but played very well. He's won multiple times in the state of California. He went to Cal Berkeley. He knows the area, knows this type of surface, is familiar with the weather, what have you. He could go very well this week, and he's also a very good player in tough conditions.
Yeah, I think, again, for a lot of people, they see that top of the board, but I know for someone like yourself who probably stays locked in throughout the whole weekend, you can catch these guys at better numbers. I learned a lot about that from talking to Cam Stewart, is these guys are so good, you almost root in the slow start, and then you can kind of, bring them through. I don't want to get too lost asking about Scotty Scheffler. I just will note, I was very used to seeing Scotty at about 5-1. So just seeing him at 9 now, I just made note of that for myself. All right, take me through some more of this outright card here for you, Brady. Who else has your attention at Pebble Beach?
Well, my next shortest shot was Beau Hossler at 60-1. And his last two trips here to Pebble Beach, he's finished 11th and 3rd. And, he finished off 2023 really well, had a lot of top 10 finishes, and he's kind of picked up where he left off here, finishing 6th last week at Torrey Pines, and he was very good with the putter. He ranked 11th in the field last week with the flat stick, and I mentioned, that's going to be a big part of your success here at Pebble. So he's playing well, he has good current form, and he has good course form. So I expect Hossler to do well. I wonder what your handicap is here, Kevin. The amateur that he's going to be playing with this week is Aaron Rodgers. Is that going to be a bad thing or a good thing for his game, Beau Hossler?
The vibes could be good, but I feel like it would be easy to get into Rodgers' head on a golf course. I don't know. Then again, he's a Super Bowl champion. He's been doing it for a while.
He's a pretty good golfer, so, that should not get in the way of Hossler, like some, guy hacking it around or whatever. But I think Hossler's got a good shot. And then I went to the triple digits. Maybe it'll be 5 triple-digit winners in a row to start the 2024 season. Denny McCarthy, I got at 104-1. Terrific short game. His last true trips to Pebble, he's finished 4th and 12th. So I like McCarthy here. He's also had great finishes. I mentioned Port Royal in Bermuda as a correlated course earlier in the segment here, and McCarthy's done tremendous there with a 6th and a 4th place finish. Also, Sea Island, home of the RSM Classic. He's got 3 top 10 finishes there. Another course that I think sets up similarly to these courses here on the Monterey Peninsula. And then finally, a couple of really long bombs at 135-1 on Alex Noren and Christian Bezuidenhout. And, very similar skill sets here. Great short games. Both are very good on the par 4s, which I think is a key metric or area that you have to have success this week if you're going to win it. If you look at all the guys that I played here, Kevin, most of them have had, good success at this course or the correlated courses in the past. They have very good short games. Good scramblers. I mentioned the very small greens at Pebble Beach. They're hard to hit every single time. You're going to miss some, and you're going to have to get up and down from around these greens to save par. All these guys really good at scrambling like that. Alex Noren, Christian Bezuidenhout, McCarthy, Hossler, you name it. So that's really the formula that I went with this week, and happened to land on a lot of guys that are at pretty big odds. So I'm rooting for another long shot this week.
Look, and I'm sure that'll kind of keep you in the mix as long as one or two of those guys, right, are there down the back stretch. I'm just curious, Brady, any of the other markets that you wanted to mention? I'm sure there's countless for you, but maybe just one other, whether it was a matchup bet or something you found?
Yeah, you mentioned countless markets. I really keep it pretty simple. I don't get into the exotics too often, like, top American, top Asian. I mean, I know there's some wild ones out there, like, will the winner come from the final group on Sunday, or will so-and-so have a bogey-free round in the first round? I mean, there's so many ways, as you and I were talking about last week, there's so many different options to a golf betting menu, but I try and keep it pretty traditional. I did play a couple of head-to-head matchups. However, I took Sam Burns at -115 over Cam Young. I'm not sure if that price is still the same. I haven't looked at it in a little bit. I mentioned I'm on Burns for an outright. So Cam Burns at -115 over Cam Young, and then Christian Bezadenhout, another one of my guys that I'm on this week. Bezadenhout I took over Brendan Todd. Todd has done pretty well here in the past. He was runner-up last year to Justin Rose and has a couple of top 10s here. Bezadenhout, by the way, finished 14th here last year, so he's had success here as well. I think Bezadenhout has the hot hand this year. And, we talked about it a little bit with some of my guys finishing top 20 as well, Kevin. All of the outrights, I also played them for a top 20 finish.
Yeah, which is smart. I know we don't have a ton of time left. I'm just curious, Brady. You locked in anything yet for the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Niners?
I'm going to be patient here, and it's killing me. Every hour that goes by, I'm waiting to, push a button and fire on something. But I think I'm going to be patient. I think when the public gets to town here in Las Vegas, we're going to have overwhelming Chiefs support, and I might just get some more value on the Niners, and that's probably the direction I'll go.
Yeah, that is I'm already in, and I knew that. I was wondering if I was going to delay it, and then I just can't. I know I like the Niners in this game, and we'll see where the line goes. I took the money line. It was -120. It's kind of moved
a good number.
Back up.
Yeah. That's probably been about the best number we've seen so far on the money line is -120. A pretty consensus -130 at this point. And if I can save 10 cents, it's worth the wait. But you never know. I mean, this is the one game, really, especially of the season, where the public can move a number in a big way because there is so much volume from the masses where, they can actually move a line. So, I mean, by game time, Kevin, you might see the Kansas City Chiefs as a 1-point favorite.
Yeah, I think my thought has been it won't get to KC laying a number, but landing at, Niners 1. We'll never see that 3, that mythical Chiefs +3 that existed. That was a hypothetical line that existed for, I don't know, a half hour, basically. But, Brady, I am sure we will talk. We'll talk out there in Vegas as well. Looking forward to it. Best of luck this week. We'll get you a Super Bowl prop on the other side. We are live with you on a Wednesday night Game Time Decisions.
Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions. Only on Sports Grid. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live. Prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
late
good betting.
night.
We waited for the 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
The countdown to the Super Bowl is on. It's been on since the Niners and the Chiefs solidified their spots in the big game. But I am not going to wait too long to put all these wagers in because lines will move, and I want to make sure that I can get some of my favorites to you before they move. Yesterday, we talked about the pick on the Chiefs side of it, minus 125, Patrick Mahomes for 25-plus rushing yards. If you look right now, Patrick Mahomes' straight rushing prop checks in at 25.5, so not much movement there. Today, we go to the Niners side of the field and a receptions prop that is minus 104, Brandon Ayuk over 4.5 receptions. Brandon Ayuk is this team's top wide receiver. Look, Deebo Samuel is terrific. I will be on him in some capacity. I have no doubt about it. But Brandon Ayuk and his postseason workload has not garnered enough production. What do I mean by that? 6 targets so far in both of these games, but Brandon Ayuk has not been able to turn that into 5 catches. That is a rarity. In the regular season, he was targeted 6 or more times, 12 times. 9 out of the 12. 9 out of the 12, we saw Brandon Ayuk check in for 5-plus catches. So again, this has been outlier. Ayuk is getting the typical workload that you would expect to see him bring in big games. The receptions have not been there. And to no surprise, we have not seen Brandon Ayuk go 3 consecutive games. And I know on that it shows that Week 18 game, but Week 18 doesn't factor in as much. But you want to add that to the equation. Brandon Ayuk, 4 straight games now without 5-plus catches? Did not happen at all in that regular season. And number 1 wide receivers have started to become really important against the Chiefs. We saw it with Zay Flowers in the AFC Championship game. We'll see it with Brandon Ayuk in the Super Bowl. Quick break. We're back in less than a minute. Get you a same-game parlay.